can agree with them or not, but it seems that someone has given an order to make the Tate brothers disappear from their capacity to influence the public, especially Andrew.
The FBI had a program that was designed to, quote, stop what they called a revolutionary black messiah. And this program, and it is documented public record, was designed to target African Americans who possessed leadership potential, who were articulate, and who were viewed as authentic by the African American masses. They called this the revolutionary black messiah, of which these types would be a Malcolm X type, a Martin Luther King type, the kind that could stir the masses. Mind you, curiously, both of these types were murdered, okay? Now, what they're trying to sort for, the FBI, they're trying to filter for intelligence, IQ, ability to incite the masses to action, pre-existing organization or organizational skills, meaning, you know, they're connected to a church, for example, that's an organization, or they're a preacher or a pastor. They know how to organize. So they were searching for the revolutionary black messiah before he became the revolutionary black messiah, with the idea of killing the revolution in its infancy, killing or disabling or, you know, destroying the leader before he could rise up. Yeah.
I think that the people who are in charge of the world are not motivated by what most people think they're motivated by. I've had a lot of people who are semi-awake come to me and say, yeah, all this stuff, it's all about money, it's all about profit. And I sit there and say, okay, but I would actually feel a lot more comfortable with the world if it was as simple as money and profit. I think it's far more sinister than that. And I think it's truly about brutal power. And I'll say this because if you've had money long enough and you've truly had true money, it does get boring quickly. And I'll give you an example from a personal perspective. I grew up in a council estate in Luton. Now I'm a multimillionaire. Yeah, I love nice cars and et cetera, but you can only eat so many steaks and go to so many nice hotels. What's truly what most people who are searching for money are looking for is power. And if you're born into money, if you've had money since the day you were born, if you've never known poverty, if you've never been denied anything, a Ferrari is not going to make you happy. A nice meal is not going to make you happy. You've always had these things. The one thing that's going to make you happy is power. I don't think most people understand how humans are evolutionarily designed to want power. We're wired to want power. Men say, I want to be rich. You don't want to be rich. You want to be powerful. You want to be important. You want to be respected. This is the reason why men work their asses off in middle management jobs, underpaid, barely seeing their families, because at least when they're at work, they're respected. Men want respect. Men want power. And the people who are in charge of the world want more and more power. They don't care about profit. They don't care about money. They print the money. This is not about money. This is about just putting their foot on top of humanity and squashing it for nothing other than an ego trip. I really do believe it's about that. I believe they enjoyed things like vaccine passports simply to make us stay home so that when they don't stay home, it was a big joke. Ha ha ha. Look at them stuck in their house. I think they enjoyed it on that primal evil level. I think it's genuinely evil. I don't think it's anything to do with money. I think it's purely just power trip.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I think that answers actually one of the questions that's often asked by people who are kind of just beginning to discover what's going on, but are still skeptical. And they say things like, yeah, but why is it in the interests of the elite to kill so many people or to do all this? Because surely they need us as workers, and surely they need a global economy which is producing lots of stuff. These people really are wedded to this vision of the world, which has been given them as children, fed them the idea that, yeah, everyone benefits from a strong economy. And they don't understand that we are run by fucking psychopaths.
Yeah, absolutely. And the whole idea of an economy is something that they need to understand, they need to unplug from. An economy is for us peasants. Economies don't matter to the people who print the money. Economies don't matter for the people who manipulate the stocks. Economies don't matter for the people who rig the elections. And none of that is real to them. They don't give a shit about the economy. You think these people are going to go broke if the stock market crashes? You think they're going to be poor? They're going to have anything they want all the time. They are so beyond money that the only time they can get any satisfaction from their life, the only time they can even feel alive, is with power trips. That's truly what it is. If I don't know how deep and how dark we're going to go down this on this podcast, but even if you look at a lot of the disgusting things that are happening on islands around the world, I truly think that a lot of that is driven by the fact that not only is it disgusting and they're sexual deviants, but it's also about the fact that look what we can do that other people are not allowed to do. It's power. They just want to feel important and special. And money's not enough anymore. Money, if you're born with money, money does not make you feel important and special. They need something else to satisfy their disgustingly large demonic egos. And if that means locking everyone in their house so they can't see their grandma, so be it. And I say this to people and they say, no, surely that's too simple an explanation that the people in charge of the world are just power tripping. No, it's not too simple an explanation. That's exactly what is happening. When you tell a full-grown adult to wear a mask, go and walk and sit down in a restaurant, take it off, eat, stand up and put it back on to walk to go piss, and then walk back, take it off and sit down and eat. That's pure power game. That's nothing to do with science, nothing to do with saving lives. That's just ha ha ha. Look what the peasants will do on command. That's all it is. What else could it possibly be?
And isn't it amazing that the peasants largely did do it on command? None of them questioned this stuff. It's extraordinary.
It truly is extraordinary. And what's most extraordinary to me is that I keep reminding people of these things. Like I keep saying, don't you remember 3 months ago when they said if you didn't inject yourself with an unknown drug, you couldn't have food? It's only been 3 months. Okay, yeah, Putin's ended COVID, his new distraction, blah, blah, blah. But don't you remember what they did to you? I got invited recently to Australia. I said, I'm not going. And they said, why? I said, I won't go there ever again because they're communists and I'm not going to that country. And they're like, oh, but it's okay now. No, it's not okay now because all the members of law enforcement have proven the fact that if they're given the commands to crush their fellow man with basically no reason, that they'll do it. Yeah. So fuck them and fuck that country. I'm not going. I'm not going to Canada. I'm not going anywhere, these places. It's crazy. And all these people still have positions of power. And it's amazing to me that people are living their lives going, oh yeah, everything's fine now, knowing that the police above them with one simple email will literally destroy their fellow man. They don't give a shit. It's incredible that not one police force stood up and said, no, enough of this junk. Yeah. It's like, it's absolutely out of control. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. I have to say, I mean, apart from the fact that you're probably slightly better at handling yourself in a fight than me, this is like talking to myself because I don't find any of the stuff you are saying crazy or extreme. And yet, if we'd had this conversation 5 years ago, I think I would have thought you were basically a nutcase and that you were so out there that I wouldn't know really how to engage with you. Can I ask, how long have you? When did you wake up to this kind of stuff? Was it the last 2 years or before?
It was before that, but I won't lie that COVID really did kill my last hope in humanity because even before COVID, even though I was quite aware and quite awake of a lot of things that were happening, if you would have told me the COVID scenario, 2 years, a disease that nobody can basically see or feel. Everyone's fine on the street. It's a sniffle. They advertise the fact it's 99.9% survival. They won't let people see their own dying parents. You have to wear a mask. You have to take a vaccine that's more dangerous than the disease itself. That if you would have told me that before COVID, I would have said, no way. Surely that's too much. Yeah. But here we are, and they got away with it. It truly is absolutely incredible. And it's kind of been an interesting thought experiment for me, how you can extrapolate it to all other aspects of life, right? Because when I talk about the COVID scandemic, when I talk about it, I talk about how it applies to everything else. So recently I was talking to someone yesterday and they were talking about buying a house and I said, why do you buy and you don't rent? He goes, I want to own a home. And I said, you don't own a home. And he goes, what do you mean you don't own it? I said, look at the Canadian truckers. They didn't take their vaccine. They got a fine for rebelling against the vaccine. They don't pay the fine, and then they escalate the fine, add more money to it. You don't pay that, and eventually what do? They come for your assets. So you don't own a house. You think you own something until you annoy the government. You don't own that house. You don't own that land. You don't own your car. You don't own your children. You don't own any of it. Because as soon as you make them angry, as soon as you resist tyranny deep enough, they'll take it from you. So COVID woke me up to a bunch of things. Like I sold all my real estate. I was like, no, I no longer trust governments. I don't know which one's going to come along with some new authoritarian garbage, and I don't want to comply. And the first thing I'm going to do is come for my assets. So like for me, it's changed my entire worldview to the point now where I'm like, I don't trust governments. I don't trust real estate. I don't trust banks. I don't trust any of them. They're all the enemy. And once you wake up to that, it's kind of a dark realization. I think that's why a lot of people just say, I'll just wear the mask. I'll just wear the mask. Because it's cowardice, right? And it's easier.
be. We are genuinely, actually living inside of the Matrix. The Matrix is real.
Called the Matrix.
The very basic premise of the Matrix is that humans are nothing more than batteries for the machines.
In order to change a human being into this.
And in the world we currently live in, every single one of you is being reduced in real time to nothing more than a QR code. You're losing autonomy over your own bloodstream. You're losing the ability to walk freely, to go where you want, to make own personal choices regarding your medical decisions. You're losing all of that. That's all being replaced because you are a cog in a machine, and that machine is soulless. The reason that the humans are fighting the machines inside of the Matrix is because machines have no soul. All they care about is efficiency, slavery. And this is what's happening to you. They don't care if a few people die from it. They're not interested if a few die, if most don't die. You're all expendable. Do you understand? The machine is reducing you in real time to nothing more but a slave. There is a reason humanity fights against machines in the Matrix. Because machines have no soul. Machines are ruthless. They look at things purely from a numbers perspective. They don't care if a few people die, as long as most people don't die, right? Most won't die, a few will die, boo-hoo, their families. It's good for us overall. That's how machines think. They don't care about your individualism. In fact, they want to crush your individualism. They want you to do your job well enough for them to benefit, but they don't want you to think outside of that job. When you're playing chess, you take every single opportunity to exert power. That's how you win. If there is a weak square, you conquer it. If there is an undefended piece, you take it. If you can check his king, you'll check his king. You'll pin his pieces. You'll fork him. You'll do anything you can to exert power. You'll find a weakness and you will exploit it. Now, if you don't do these things, you lose because your opponent will. So when you understand that the governments of Earth, all the varying governments, and let's go a step beyond that, call me a conspiracy theorist, the varying interests which are above governments, which control, the food you eat, the money you use, who buy all the politicians. These interests, when they're combating, they make sure they take every single possible opportunity to exert power. Because if they didn't, they would lose. It's a chess game. So if something happens, a black swan event, I don't know, a disease appears, and they realize in real time that it's not actually a big deal, they will still use that opportunity to exert power because it's an advantage. They go, okay, people are obeying more than they'd normally obey. People believe the propaganda more than they'd normally believe. People are ignoring their own eyes. This is a chance here for us to make some chess moves and exert more power and more control, because we're going to need this power and control to combat our enemies. Now, for the sake of YouTube, I'm not going to say what I believe. In fact, what I know these varying power interests are. A lot of people still think in terms of right and left politically, or they think in terms of China and America from a country perspective. It goes beyond all of that. And these are the kind of things I talk about in my private conversations inside of the War Room. But here on YouTube, I'm not going to say it. For the sake of this video, it doesn't matter who these powers are. It only matters that you understand they exist and you understand what is happening. You understand this is an opportunity for people who are only interested in power to exert more power. Now, quickly, I have conversations with people who are far more ignorant and naive than I. And they don't understand why people would just chase unlimited power. They say, well, why would the people in charge of the world make us do all of these, if it wasn't good for us? Why would they do that? Why would they do that? And these people are ignorant because they've never had any power, but they don't understand that money gets boring, fast cars gets boring, nice meals gets boring. It all gets boring, right? The only thing that never gets boring is power, because power gives you an adrenaline rush. It's an ego. It fuels your ego. It feeds you. If you were born with absolutely unlimited money, you have no respect for money. You've never been poor. You don't have that juxtaposition to compare it to. You've never sat there hungry. So of course you don't appreciate when you have food. Do you think the people who are born into the families that print the money are going to be happy with a Ferrari? What's a Ferrari? 200 grand? These people control trillions. They're uninterested in that. What they're interested in is being respected and revered and feared like God. They want power. They're power crazy because this is human nature, right? Power is the only thing that can bring them any kind of joy. So they like to exert power. The limits to their exertion is usually the police force, right? The police of Earth, which are actually the biggest cowards in this entire scam, are the limit as to what the elites can exert on the common man. If you look at countries like Australia, which are completely crazy, it's because the police enforce it. If you look in some other countries where the police refuse to enforce, it seems that the doesn't exist. Funny that. Or certainly the lockdowns don't exist. I was talking to a girl from Kyrgyzstan the other day, and she said that when they tried lockdowns in her country, they believed it was all corrupt. And after 3 days, everyone rioted and the police changed sides, and they've never heard of the disease since. Once again, funny that, isn't it? The future is very dystopian on a tangent, because in the future, the entire police force will be AI. It'll all be roboticized, and robots have no soul. And then you're really in trouble. This is what I'm talking about, chess pieces and how they exert their power. Because as they reduce you to a QR code, as they reduce you to nothing more than a medical status as to whether you comply, because that's what they really want. I'm not going to sit here and say that anything's dangerous. What I'm going to say is they want to know who blindly complies and who thinks for themselves. And the people who think for themselves must be punished. How do you punish them? Well, you delete them from the internet. You remove their YouTube, destroy their Twitter, remove their Facebook, prevent them from using their bank, prevent them from going outside, prevent them from going to restaurants. This is what they're going to do to every single person. They no longer, soon in the future, they're not going to need a physical human police force, because humans are human. As stupid as police can be, you can stand in front of one and say, my friend, you and I are the same. Why are you punishing me? And maybe you'll get through, but you can't do that with the camera that scans your QR code. Do you understand? They don't care. It's just a yes or a no. So any one of you out there that has any kind of warrior spirit inside of you should be very much like me, struggling to sleep at night. I'm actually genuinely losing sleep over this stuff because the world is falling apart in real time. And for my short human existence, every single time something went wrong in my life, I knew the answer. But the answer to this one's pretty difficult because most people are still asleep. Most people are still blindly complying. And they are complying thinking that this is going to go away. When the truth is, this has only just begun. Nothing is going anywhere. It has just started.
To tie into maybe the Bitcoin argument a little bit, but I truly believe this is propagated by the ruling elites on purpose.
Why?
Because when a black billionaire meets a white billionaire, do you think there's any racism? Do you think they care? Of course, he's a billionaire, I'm a billionaire. Both our yachts are in Monaco. He's from Algeria, he stole all the gold. I'm a stock market whatever. There's no racism. The racism's for the poor people. Because if you keep the poor people divided, they can't wake up long enough to do what I did and read about how money works. Because if they do that, we got big trouble, right? Then the slaves will wake up. You don't want to deprogram the slaves. So you have to convince the slaves that it's not the monetary system's fault that you're broke. It's not the monetary system's fault that you continue to work for a set number of dollars and the price of houses just keep going up and up and up. It's not the monetary system's fault. It's the white man's fault or the black man's fault or the Asian people's fault. Someone else's fault. Because if the poor people all fight each other, they can't wake up long enough to look up and go, oh, there's not actually that many of them. Ah, okay. You know, and we can change things. And this is what's crazy about it. I think all this stuff, feminism, racism, all these things, I think they're all control mechanisms. They have to keep the poor people fighting amongst each other because if the poor people all unite, then it's much harder to control us. That's all I really truly believe is happening. I believe we live in a world now where the people who are truly in charge of the world are scrambling, trying to find new mechanisms to control people. They're scrambling because the internet has allowed us to think for ourselves. The old mechanisms of controlling people, the old propaganda machine, like the Vietnam War. Oh, tell them they took one of our boats, put it on the news. Now we can go send young men to die in Vietnam. I was in Vietnam. I'm military aged. Now when I go to Vietnam, we're all happy and smiles, right? 4 years ago, they'd be shooting me. Like all those people died there for what? It's stupid. The whole thing is stupid. And they lied on the news about why we even went there. But now that we have the internet, and now people can look and fact check things themselves, they're like, oh, okay, well, our propaganda mechanisms, they still work. Corona's proved a lot of that. They still work, but it's getting harder and harder. So we need to distract the people. We need to distract them. Did you know all the police are racist? All of them. Every single police officer is racist. You know they're going to kill you for no reason? Did you know that? Mm-hmm. It's a control mechanism.
Who do you think is in charge of the world?
You want me to go Alex Jones? On a level of 1 to 10, how Alex Jones do you want me to go?
No, I want you to tell me what you think. Like if you had to say, all right, there's all of this kind of coordination to some degree that's happening, specifically around mainstream media, around the narratives that are created, and they're done with a specific purpose in mind. Who are the people who are planning that or trying to coordinate all this?
Okay, so I don't think it's like dark room. Oh, it is actually kind of like this, but I don't want people to imagine I'm thinking as like dark room dudes sitting around making plans. It's kind of like that, but it's just, dinner clubs and golf clubs, etc. What I truly...
So not dark rooms, lighted rooms.
Lit rooms. Yeah, lit, very fancy, nice rooms. No, but what I truly believe it is that every single human on earth tries their very best to propagate their worldview. For the same reason we're doing this podcast, we're trying to explain to people how we think based on our own experiences and how we think the world should be, right? So if you have a worldview and you try your best to propagate it, the more powerful you are, the more influence you have over people, the more likely you are to influence your worldview. It's the same with any company, right? When you walk into your company at work, you want to say, look, do this, do this, do this, and people obey. You don't want to say, do this, do this, do this, and people disobey. So if you're a very, very important person and you're in charge of things and you control, I don't know, all the food in a country, you don't want a minister that's going to give you trouble. Why would you want members of parliament to give you trouble? This is your country. You basically own all the land. So you want a minister who's going to say, yes, sir, no, sir. It's your company. So the more powerful you are, the more likely you are to appoint people that enforce your worldview. And there's certain people in the world today that have so much influence. I don't even think they necessarily believe they're doing anything evil, but they think and view the world a certain way. And they use all of their political leverage, all of their friendships, and all their financial leverage to try and point the world in the direction they want it to go. And that's exactly what's happening. These are the people who control the world. The people who control everything. They control everything. They control the news. They decided, I'm not even going to give my political views, but the people who own the news channels decided it was better if Trump wasn't in the White House. They thought, you know what? He doesn't listen to us, and I think I know best, and I want a president who's senile and will sign anything we give him. So let's get rid of Trump, let's get Sleepy Joe, and let's do whatever it takes to put our guy there so when I give him a page of legislation 50 pages long, he doesn't even read it, he just signs it. Trump, he read it. Can't stand that guy. I ain't got time for him. I'm trying to save the world. I'm a good person. I know what's best. My family's been in charge forever. I know what the good things for the world are. And that's all that's really happening. People are really trying to force their worldviews, and these people have huge influence.
Do you think that it's just the media, or do you think it's technology companies?
I think it's everything.
But how can it be everything?
Because power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. These people have so much control, so much power. They decide truth at this point. It's not about truth is subjective. True, false doesn't exist, right? If everyone in the world were to simultaneously agree that 2 + 2 = 5, then 2 + 2 now equals 5. It doesn't matter if math doesn't work anymore. The whole world believes 2 + 2 = 5. That's now true. If they control what people see and control how people think, then they control what's true and what's false. Trump is racist because they said he's racist. He hasn't done anything racist, but they said he's racist to the point where Trump's now a racist. That's now true. These people now can literally bend reality in real time. Let me ask you a question. If there was a basketball game between some random people in the street, let's say we were to go out there and get 5 people for each side basketball game and told them the winner was going to get $10,000 and there was no referee, do you think that somebody might try and cheat a little bit?
I think I would expect them to cheat.
Exactly. So if people out on the street will cheat for $10,000, you're telling me that people in charge of the world aren't going to cheat to keep control? They're not going to lie? They're not going to trick the general populace to keep us all as slaves? We're talking about cheating over a little basketball game. You're talking about they're not going to cheat an election?
Do you think
to control the free world? Of course they'll cheat. This is humans. We'll all cheat. This is the exact point. These people in charge of all this stuff, all they've ever done is cheat. Why would they play by the rules? You can't risk losing.
Do you think that every election in every country is rigged?
So this is a really good question. So after the U.S. election was rigged, which it was, after they rigged the U.S. election.
Why do you say that?
I say that because all the empirical evidence points to the fact it was rigged.
Like
the fact that it's the longest count in history. Like you can see the spike of votes just appearing out of nowhere, popping up. All the boxes of votes appearing from the sky. All the evidence. If you actually look at the evidence for the election, it doesn't make statistical sense. None of it adds up. There's no way Joe won that. I'll tell you another reason I know it's rigged. I know it's rigged because Judge Judy, a good friend, no, she's not a good friend of mine, but I love Judge Judy. She has a saying. Judge Judy has a saying. If it doesn't make sense, it isn't true. Hillary was supposed to beat Trump. Everyone knew Hillary was supposed to beat Trump. Hillary, they put all over the news. She has a 99% chance of winning. She had all the support from the media companies, all the support from the political elite. She's supposed to beat Trump. Trump won. The political elite and the elites behind things start panicking. Just like I said, oh no, we no longer control everything from the shadows because the president won't listen. We used to have presidents who obeyed the shadow figures. Trump won't obey the shadow figures. So they invent Russian collusion. They spend years inventing Russian collusion, trying to get rid of him. All they do is try and get rid of him. And I sat there with my brother, and when Biden won the Democratic election, I said, this election's rigged. I said it before the election. Tristan goes, why? I said, do you think people who have spent the last 4 years inventing charges trying to get rid of Trump are going to put up Sleepy Joe and let him get landslided? Do you think they're that stupid? If Trump beat Hillary, you think the people in charge of the world really believe Sleepy Joe's going to do it? He didn't even campaign the whole time because they all knew it was in the bag. They said to Joe, don't worry, my friend. It's in the bag. Don't worry about it. Take a nap. We got it. We got it. They rigged it from the start. So, of course, it was absolutely and utterly rigged. It was rigged. And what's interesting is about 3 months ago, there was a military coup in Myanmar. Do you know that? So 3 months ago, there's a military coup in Myanmar. I saw this on the news. I thought, oh, that's interesting. And I looked into it a bit. And the reason the military took over is because they said the elections were rigged. I was like, okay. And I looked into it a little bit further. The two political parties in Myanmar were around 51%, 49% back and forth for a while until the 90s when one political party became very good friends with the Clintons. Since then, they've won every single year by a huge margin. And the military is now taking the country back saying all the elections are rigged. No one's voting for these people and they keep winning. Do you know what voting machines they use?
Which one?
The same as the United States. So now I realize the whole thing. Now I know it's all fake. It's all fake. All of it's fake now.
How does that explain somebody like Trump then?
Explain somebody like Trump because Trump was the first time they used Trump was the wake-up call for these people. Their traditional methods of control, the propaganda machine, failed them for the first time in human history. And then it's become scramble panic stations, right? Usually it's put all over the news, scare the people, it'll be fine. Up until that point, every single war, Gulf War, Vietnam War, it always worked out, right? The first time ever, Trump's bad, Trump's racist, he grabs girls by the pussy, Hillary's the person you want, there's a 99% chance of winning, don't waste your vote, Trump's gonna lose, Trump's gonna lose, Trump's gonna lose. And Trump won. They couldn't believe it.
Why do you think he won?
I think he won because I actually thought, until Corona, that there were people out there in the world with half a brain. And I think people were tired of the political elite. Nobody wants Biden. Go down the street. You say, do you want Biden or you just not like Trump? And if they're programmed to go, oh, well, I didn't like Trump. But no one's like, yes, Joe Biden. Nobody wants him. His rallies were empty. Nobody wanted him, right? So after the propaganda machine failed them for the first time, they started going, okay, well, now what do we do? Our propaganda machine doesn't work. So we have to do two things. First, we have to fix our propaganda machine and get strict with censorship and fact checkers. We have to fix our propaganda machine. It's the first thing we have to do. Second thing we need to do is just rig this because we ain't losing twice in a row. No way. 4 years I haven't had absolute control over the world. And it's an ego trip. My entire life, my family, since the dawn of human time, since the beginning of the monetary system, has controlled everything ever. You're going to tell me there's a 4-year period where I couldn't snap my fingers and get what I want? This is unacceptable. You don't know who I am. Fix this. Rig it. I don't care what it takes. What are the people going to do? What's amazing is the people who are in charge of the world now, they're doing stuff in broad daylight. They'll kill Epstein in front of us all. And they realize the people aren't doing anything. They've got us so divided at a lower level that we don't unite behind anything. So now they don't have to hide things. They used to have to hide their crimes, right? Now they're just like, Epstein's in jail. They're sitting around the table. Well, oh, Epstein might talk. Well, we can't kill him. People will know. Who cares if they know? Just kill him. Okay, boom, boom. Everyone makes a few memes. End of story. So now they don't have to hide what they do anymore. So everyone knows the election's rigged. They didn't even try and hide it. Mail-in voting, we're going to take an extra 10 days to count, and buses of votes come out of nowhere, and it's all fair. Get over it. They don't even hide what they're doing anymore.
Do you think the president matters?
No.
Who the president is?
Well, I think Trump mattered because he was the last bastion of resistance to the shadow figures who truly run the world. I think now, from here on out, it's never going to matter because whoever's in there is in there because he has people above him who he complies with. That's what I believe. I believe Trump was the last hope of a president who actually had ideas and actually cared. Putin said this. Have you seen the clip of Putin? Putin said this in an interview. They said, what do you think of Trump? And he said, I've been through 3 United States presidents. You can Google this yourself, gentlemen. He said, I've been through 3 US presidents and they all have amazing ideas. But The ideas don't get implemented because people don't understand how strong the bureaucracy of America is. When the people with the dark suits arrive and explain to him how things are really done, his ideas will not come to fruition. Putin said himself, the president has people above him telling him what to do. Putin knows it. Everyone knows it, right? Trump's the first guy who said, no, I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. And they just attacked him with their propaganda machine. A non-stop onslaught of attack to program and brainwash people. And on top of that, they still rigged it because he was still winning. That's what's really happening in the world today. When you look at things like Corona and all these other things, it's all an attack on the freedom of individuals because the people in charge of the world now understand that they can no longer control us via propaganda and they have to remove our freedoms. And to remove our freedoms, there's only one thing you can remove. You can only remove freedom and replace it with one thing humans will accept, and that's safety. You won't be free anymore, but you'll be safe. I promise. Give me all your freedom. You don't need to own anything. Give it all to me, but I'll keep you safe.
Oh, it's the whole idea the government's coming to save you.
It's the only thing that stupid people will accept. And that's why in real time, we see our freedoms evaporate in real time, day by day. And we're too busy arguing about racism to do anything about it. Whole thing's crazy.
What do you think is the biggest freedom that's evaporated over the last 12 months?
Well, in the last 12 months, we've lost our freedom to leave our house. We've lost our freedom to not muzzle our own face. A mask is a big deal to me. You can't tell me what to put on my face. It's my face. Soon the vaccine's going to be mandated. That's a huge deal to me. Do I believe that vaccine's actually going to hurt me? No, I'm strong. I'm Iron Man. No. But I should have some sovereignty over my own blood. You're telling me I don't get to choose what's in my bloodstream? The government owns me to that level, like a sheep in a farm, where I can't even decide amongst myself. I can't make a personal decision to keep my blood pure of your experimental vaccines? This is insane. We've lost freedom on every level. And what they do when they take your freedom is they take a bunch of it, then they give half of it back and say, we're back to normal. And people go, yay, back to normal. Now I only need an extra vaccine passport and I can go on holiday. We're not back to normal. A year and a half ago, we could do whatever we wanted. Nothing's back to normal. And it's never going to go back to normal until people stop complying. So
what's the solution? Like for the individual person who's sitting there saying, everything you're saying, I agree with, what do they do?
And that's a good question. But really, Corona, I had very little faith in humanity, and Corona sealed the deal, man. Corona sealed the deal. I could not believe the level to which people were complying with this garbage. I really couldn't believe. You're forcing people to close down family businesses they've had for generations. You're putting people out of, you're bankrupting people, like all over a virus that they will openly tell you won't hurt you, 99.9% survival rate, and people are still complying. I couldn't believe it. I was sitting there in real time, like, this is remarkable. I was in Romania, and Romania is part of the EU, and the EU is all shadow figures. Do you know who's in charge of the European Union?
I do not.
Nobody does. That's the exact point. They have a parliament. The parliament can discuss law, but it cannot repeal law or make law. The laws are proposed by a committee. Who's on the committee? Nobody knows. Are they elected? No.
Really?
Google it. So Romania, even though the Romanian politicians, and I have very high friends in Romania, and I have casinos in Romania, which I've been trying to reopen. So I've had meetings with high-level Romanian politicians offering them bribes, and they've sat there and said, we know Corona's bullshit, but the EU is giving us relief funds, billions and billions. We have to comply. We have to make lockdowns. We're all sitting there with no masks. Everyone knows. Shadow figures are in charge of all this junk, right? When this kicked off, me and my brother went to Sweden for 2 months. It's all over my Twitter, all over my Instagram. I tried to inspire rebellion because Sweden, because the Swedes are pussies, I don't know how they pulled this off. Sweden and Belarus are the only two countries in the world that didn't enact lockdowns. For 2 months, I was running around Sweden in nightclubs with beautiful women. 2 solid months, no masks, no lockdowns, no restrictions. This is at the height of the craziness, March last year. And everyone's watching what I'm doing and going, oh, Tate's crazy. I'm like, no, you're crazy for not doing what? Can't you see it's fine? I've taken the risk for you. You've watched me for 2 months. I'm fine. All these chicks are fine. The woman in my bed who I just woke up with is fine. It's all fine. What are you panicking for? And then they'll go, oh no, I know someone who died. My friend's 98-year-old grandma died. Oh, 98-year-olds never used to die before Corona. Oh, that's your proof. This is in the bag there. I didn't know that. She was going to live forever. Old fucking Grandma Janelle. People die. It's just insane. They have destroyed the lives of young, healthy people and destroyed economies under the guise of that they're saving lives when the average age of death of Corona is higher than the average life expectancy. It's incredible. And people to this day still put their masks on. You must have a mental disorder to be putting a mask on. And when you ask me what do people do on the individual level, if everyone did what I did, it would be over in a week. I'm not even saying get arrested. I'm not saying refuse to put a mask on. All I'm saying is don't put it on unless you're asked. Imagine you're a security guard and every single person who walks in has no mask. Excuse me, please don't mask on. Please don't, I ain't got one. You got one for me? Oh, okay. Yeah, runs off. Thanks. Next person. Excuse me. How long are they going to fucking, 2 hours? And they'll be like, oh, they'll give up. And now they've given up. That's over, right? But everyone's such behaved little children. Let me put a mask on first. I'll put a mask on sometimes, but I'll make it hard. I'll walk in. Excuse me. I'll ignore them. I'll make them chase me down the aisle. Do you have a mask? No. Can you give me one? I don't have one. Well, if you don't have one, I don't have one. Look, I have to go shopping, my friend. So please, you must have a mask somewhere in the store. Make him go do a 15-minute search. Make him find one. Make him bring it to him. Make him work. Don't give up. Why are you giving in slavery instantly? Make him do something. And then it'll all be over with. But everyone's just, let me get my mask in advance. And
what do you say to the people who say you should wear the mask for preventing the spread of the virus?
I say a few things. First things first is what's always amazing about this mask mandate. I've always questioned this amongst people.
I can tell you really hate it.
Well, I hate it because it's destroyed my last faith in humanity. I understand why the Nazis or how the Nazis managed to do what they did. I understand now how the Nazis did the worst atrocities in human history because they said, do this. And people don't think. People are ignoring their own eyes. Do you see a pandemic? Are the hospitals full? Do you see people dying? Do you even know anybody who's died? Stop saying the word pandemic. You're listening to the news. It's insane, right? So it does frustrate me. It really does frustrate me. So what was the original question?
In terms of the mask, wearing the mask.
Sorry. Yeah, so why is wearing a mask such a big deal, right?
What do you say to the people who say, hey, sure, there's personal freedoms and liberties, but you putting the mask on prevents somebody else from getting sick?
If they have their mask on, why do I need my mask on? This is a genuine question. When the mask mandates lift, has Corona gone away? No, it's still there. Nothing's changed.
Do you think that we should be back to normal?
I think that if you wear a mask, it's for one of two reasons. You're scared of Corona, which is pathetic because there's bacteria everywhere, there's germs everywhere, there's no way to live your life. You get sick, you get sick. That's unfortunate. That's how the world works. Being scared of Corona is pathetic. Option two, you're not scared of Corona, you're scared of the government. So it's option one, you're a coward because you're scared of Corona. Or option two, you're not scared of Corona, you just comply knowing it's stupid, making you a coward. You're either an idiot or a coward. Every time you put a mask on, you can choose which one you want to be, but you're an idiot or a coward. You wear your mask. If you're so worried about my mask, why are you screaming in my face? You're not scared of Corona. You're scared of the fact that you comply. You sacrificed your honor as an individual, and I haven't. And I annoy you by existing because I show that I have bravery and balls. This Corona thing was the first time an absolute coward got to feel powerful. I feel like a real man because I put 3 masks on and a face mask. I'm a good person. Before that, to be a real man, you had to be a firefighter or go join the army. If you wanted some honor, you had to risk your life. Now, if you want honor, you have to be the biggest cuck in the world. And for that reason, they're going to try and propagate it. People hate seeing me win at life. For the same reason they hate seeing us win at life, they hate seeing a man without a mask. I will walk through your grocery store with no mask and I'll walk out and not catch Corona. And that bothers you because you have 2 vaccines and 3 masks on. It just upsets them.
When you think about where the world's headed, what is the solution?
Okay, that's a good question. And I can only find one solution.
Okay.
It's insanity. And everyone knows it's insanity, but we're not supposed to say it's insanity, right? And it's kind of interesting where a government, their number one job, a lot of people out here, it still amazes me, they believe the government care about them.
Yeah, they don't give a fuck.
They don't give a fuck. Corona, well, they locked us in our house, but they want us safe. More people have died from missed doctor's appointments for cancer diagnosis than they did Corona. Shut up. They don't want you safe. They've never cared about you being safe. They never will care about you being safe. If you believe the government wants you safe, you are too far gone to save. What the government wants is slaves. Slavery's not gone anywhere, right? So the old school idea of slavery, let's talk about slavery. A government would get slaves, make them work for free and build things. That's slavery. So they've stopped doing that now. So what do now? They get people, make them build things for money, but the government print all the money. So if a government can create as much as they want of something from thin air, and you'll give up your life for this thing they can create from thin air as much as they want, you are still their slave. That's it. You used to be a slave and you'd work all day and at the end you got food in the house. Now you work all day, you get money and you spend all your money on a food and a house. Slavery is still here, my friends. Nothing's changed, right? Nothing's changed. And what they want is they want slaves. They want slaves who are going to comply and pay their taxes. And whatever kind of indoctrination or societal programming they can instill inside of people to keep them doing that they're going to do. Anything it takes to stop people waking up and realizing, whoa, the government's fucking me here. Let's forget Corona. Let's forget locking us all in our houses and taking our business away. I'm paying how much tax? What? They're helping me how much? If you actually wake up and look around you, you realize you're being destroyed in real time. We can talk about this a lot because I understand money very well. This is what I do now. I gave up professional fighting to understand money. I was having a conversation with someone the other day. They were talking about Joe Biden and his relief checks. He gave out $1,400 to all the people in America because of Corona. And he's saying, don't you think he's good that he's helping the poor? I said, you think that helps the poor? Let's talk about this. You give 100 people a $1,400 check, right? Everyone understands you can't just leave it in the bank forever because of inflation. The value goes down because what happens when they print trillions of dollars from the sky, the dollar becomes less valuable. And now we're living in a world right now where inflation's getting out of control, especially in America, right? In the last year, inflation's up like 6-7%. So no poor person is going to take that money and just leave it in the bank. They're going to either spend it or invest it. Let's say there's 100 poor people and the 100 poor people spend their money. What do they spend it with? Businesses. Who owns businesses? Rich people. So now each one rich person who owns a business gets 10 poor people's money or 20 poor people's money. Amazon, their stock price went up 30%. Why? Because people were getting stimulus checks and spending it on Amazon. It all went to the rich guy. And then they go, oh yeah, but what about if they invest it? Invest it where? Invest it in the stock market? That increases the stock price. Who owns the company? Rich people. You've made them richer. What if you and all your poor friends, 20 poor friends, it'd be more than 20, 200 poor friends, put all your money in together and bought one house between you? That still takes one house off the market and raises the property value of that area. Who already owns those expensive houses? Rich people. It always ends up back with the rich people. You can't stop making the rich richer. You cannot stop it. People inside the matrix don't understand what's happening. And they're going to sit there and go, but the government cares about me. He gave me $1,400. The government doesn't give a shit about you. The government is looking after its friends. The government gave all the slaves a little bit of pocket money so they can send it all to the rich guys. It's all a scam. And people inside of the matrix do not understand. It's all a scam. It's all a lie. The idea that government cares about them is a lie. The government is never going to tell you anything that's going to wake you up. The government's going to teach you things that are going to make you subservient and compliant. They're going to tell you all this crap about identifying as a panda and all this other shit is not an accident. When they can convince the average person on the street to pretend that some other person is a panda because they said so, you are fully in the slave mindset. When it comes on the news, if someone says they're a panda, you have to agree they're a panda. Otherwise, you are racist and a bigot. And you go, okay, you are done. You are now full slave mode. And that's all they want. So you will continue to work your shit job for shit money while they continue to do whatever the fuck they like. It's all a scam. Let me tell you something, man. When this Corona thing was going on, I flew here from Romania on Wizz Air because you can't get first class flights into Europe. It's all just low cost carriers. I'm flying Wizz Air. I have a mask on. Excuse me, sir, put the mask over your nose. This fucking air stewardess, this minimum wage bitch. So I put my mask on my nose. Everyone was freaking out about masks. I had to fill in all these home office papers when I landed, all this crap, PCR test, blah, blah, blah. I thought I'm not doing that again. So about 2 months later, I flew on a private plane. No mask, no PCR test, no home office paperwork. My pilots weren't wearing masks. When I landed at Biggin Hill Airport, the people who met me in the BMW, no one was wearing a mask. Nobody had a mask on. No one asked me to fill in shit. Do you know why? Because I was rich. Corona doesn't exist for the rich people. As soon as you pay 50 grand for a flight, now they don't trouble you then. They trouble the shit muncher on the Wizz Air flight. It's all a fucking scam. All of it's a scam. And this is how the whole world has always worked and always will work. And people at the bottom just don't seem to get it. They don't seem to wake up. And they don't seem to wake up because the people in charge try very hard to keep them asleep. If you had a whole bunch of people who were your slave, why would you tell them the truth about the world? Why would you do that? No. When's the last time you went to school and learned how money works or banks work or taxes or any of the things that they use to control you? No. They teach you about fucking photosynthesis. They don't want you to know anything. They don't want us to know anything. They just want us sitting there going, okay, he's a panda and I stay in my house because of Corona. Clap for the NHS. Like a performing seal. Like an idiot. And people are idiots. So they control them. And then they come to me and go, Tate, how'd you make all this money? I opened my fucking eyes. I looked around me. I started to think. Things that people never seem to do. I don't know how they live in a dream for so fucking long. I woke up out of the dream, right? But this is the truth. Governments are absolutely the enemy of the people. They always have been. They always fucking will be. Fuck all of them.
What do you think we are here as
George Clooney, you'd be fine, right? But all these people who are like in charge of the world, this is what people don't understand. I say this and they go, oh, why do the celebrities talk about depression then? Why do the people in charge talk about depression? Because they have good lives. I'll tell you why. Because it's a control mechanism. Everything I just told you all about slavery, everything I told you all about the people in charge, the elites trying to keep the slaves in line, depression is one of the tools they use. If they convince you that depression's real, you are too busy living inside of your own mind and being selfish to look around you and understand the real world. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Do you think that the people in charge of Earth are going to let someone become a Hollywood celebrity and have massive influence and let them say whatever they want? No, they're going to tell them, you're going to talk about depression, mental illness, and you're going to do it in a way pretending you care about it, but really you're going to promote it. You're going to convince every sad person out there that they cannot fix it and there's nothing they can do about it, so that they stay sad and stay depressed, because if they start to wake up and feel happy, they'll look around and realize that they're getting shafted. So let's keep them all sad enough to not do anything about it, but okay enough to still work the machines. It's a control mechanism. Depression is used by the elites to keep the poor people oppressed. It's another mind trick. You're all sad. It's okay. You can't help it. You're all sad. You can't help it. It's bullshit. You can't tell me I'm fucking sad, and you can't tell me I can't help it. I don't care if you're Angelina Jolie or what doctor, whoever the fuck you are. You cannot tell me I can't control my mind. Andrew, if you got depressed, you wouldn't be able to do anything about it. I reject that. I reject that absolutely. If I got depressed, I would fix it because I'm Andrew Tate. I'm not going to sit here and go, oh, really, Angelina Jolie? Oh, shit. Well, I felt sad yesterday. Maybe I'm still sad now. Maybe I am depressed. And then you just become another cog in the machine. It's all a control mechanism. And the more people who buy into this, the worse. But to answer to your original question about why men are killing themselves, because life for a man is harder than life for a woman. Most men live depressing lives. Women have an innate value that prevents them from ever being truly depressed. You can be the fattest, ugliest bitch in the world. You can go to the club tonight and get some dick. You can't. True or false? True or false? You can always get a new experience. At least you can feel wanted for 10 minutes by that fucking crazy Congolese dude who'll bang anything. But at least you'll feel wanted for 10 minutes, right? For most men out here, they can't even feel wanted. Their wife left them. No, they're invisible to women. Their kids don't talk to them. They're just not wanted. They're not wanted by, of course they're depressed. This is a unique situation that happens to men. This does not happen to women. So of course more men kill themselves. On top of that, society has huge burdens on men. You can be a woman and be 40 and be broke. No one gives a shit. If you're a man and you're 40 something and you're fucking broke, you ain't got a car, people are a bit like, how the fuck did you fuck your life up, bro? You're 40, you ain't got a car. We're supposed to be smart. We're supposed to be rich, supposed to be interesting. Got to have jokes, got to have child lines, right? Got to be charming, got to be cool, experiences, stories. We need to have a lot of shit to be an important man. To be a woman, you need makeup. If you're a hot woman, if you're truly beautiful, you don't need anything else. I've been on boats in Dubai with 19-year-old Moldovan girls. The guy who got that boat needed $100 million. That bitch, makeup. Same boat, bro. Same boat. That's how hard it is. Look at a game of chess. The king moves one square at a time. He has to really work his way across the board. What does the queen do? Zips here, zips there. Easy for a chick, right? Now, if you're an ugly bitch, you can go, oh yeah, it's fine for the hot ones, but I'm an ugly one. Well, if you're an ugly bitch, fine. But to a lesser extent, you can do the same thing. You can still go out, down the high street, get a kebab and a shag and a pint. Done. Like the women never going to be in a situation where they look around and they're like, I am actually completely alone. And that's the worst thing that will happen to a person, I think, is true loneliness. And that's why men kill themselves. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's super important that we stop teaching people that depression is something that can't be fixed. I say this all the time. Every single mental health month, depression's the worst thing in the world. It's disease. You think you're helping. You're doing the opposite. Stop telling people that they can't fix it. Stop telling them it's a disease that's not their fault. And start telling people, look, if you work hard, you can feel better. You're depressed now, but if you go to the gym and you work out and you train, you get a good body, you start getting social, you get some friends, go to some social clubs, start to meet people, start to do things, you will feel better. That is far more healthy than talking about it's a disease we can't fix, take these pills. The gym has been proven to fix more depression than antidepressants. It's been proven. This is statistical. So when I say depression isn't real, people say, what you're saying is dangerous and you're going to hurt people. I'm trying to help people. I'm trying to wake people the fuck up. If you're watching this and you're depressed, go to the gym tomorrow morning. And I guarantee you, if you're, no matter how depressed you are, if you're considering suicide, promise me this, get a 6-pack first. And by the time you got the 6-pack, you won't want to do it anymore. That's how it works. This is why not enough men are motivated enough. And this is why I have to keep moving. This is why you talk. Let me tell you something. Revolutions are nothing more than a bunch of men in one place. It's not women. It's men. If you put enough men on a city square pissed off, a revolution happens. That's what the people in charge of the world are afraid of. So to make sure there's no revolution, what they do is they construct as many divisions amongst the peasants as possible. They make sure the blacks hate the whites, the men hate the women, the Republicans hate the Democrats, and we're all so busy fighting with each other they can laugh from the top because there's not very many of them and there's a bunch of us. I'm telling you, the reason in countries like America, the reason the law is so destructive against men is very, very purposeful. They don't want you to feel like a king. They don't want you to feel powerful. You wake up amongst 3 bitches. If you have fucking 10 sons from 10 baby mamas, you're going to wake up and feel like the man. You ain't taking shit easy. If you wake up on your fucking 3rd year of a sexless marriage, paying taxes, and your kids don't even listen to you, you don't really feel like rebellion. You don't have it inside of you. This is why there's so much fucking male suicide. This is why men are so depressed. This is why everyone's so unhappy, because the life they try and create for men, the things they try and purport, the ideas they try and make us subscribe to are depressing. They want you as a tax slave. They want you as a tax slave. They want you in a sexless marriage with some old fat bitch who hates you. That's what they want. Afraid to leave because they'll take your house and destroy your life's work. And they want you to sit there and pay your taxes until you fucking die. This is all done on purpose. None of this is an accident. It's all very purposeful. And in countries which are not like this, in countries where men still have that masculine essence, in countries where they're still in control of their own household, when the government tries to become tyrannical, it's far more difficult to do because the men get together and say, you know what, women, clean the house. I'll be back in 2 hours. I'm going to tell these guys to get fucked. And that's the reality of it. This is a control mechanism, along with everything else. Everything you see on TV, this is my final rant. Everything you see on TV is a control mechanism. All the shit they put on Netflix is a control mechanism. Telling you that you have mental problems you don't have is a control mechanism. Telling you, you can't focus on anything for 2 minutes because you have ADHD, or you're depressed and you can never fix it. They're trying to control you. They're trying to dampen your life force. Making sure your woman doesn't listen to you is a control mechanism. Making sure you can never leave her without being financially destroyed is a control mechanism. It's all control mechanisms, all of it from head to toe. You have to resist the slave mind. You have to look at it all and understand they are trying to make a slave of you. And when I say slave, I do not mean slave likely. I mean the word slave. They are printing money from the sky and you're giving up your life for it. If they can create something in unlimited amounts anytime they want, and you'll give up your life and time for that said thing, you are their slave. They don't need to use power and control and whips anymore. They just have the money print button. It's slavery. And they need to make sure that even if you know that, you don't feel powerful enough to do anything about it. All of this, every single thing about the modern world was deliberately constructed to get us to a point where they can come along and lock you in your house for something with a 99.9% survival rate, and you're going to sit there and take it like a bitch anyway. That's what all this shit is, including being in a position where you can't even tell your own woman she's not allowed out with her friends to get fucking drunk with a bunch of dudes, because you're not even allowed to do that. If a wife comes home and goes, I want to go out drinking tonight, you go, you're not fucking going nowhere. Oh, I want to go out with my friends from work. You're not going out with them men. That's coercive and controlling behavior. Bro, you can't even tell your bitch not to go get fucking drunk with dudes.
They'll call that abusive.
You're an abusive misogynist. You're Andrew Tate. Cancel him. It's insanity, and it's all done on purpose. I don't want anyone to sit here and think this is some accident we've arrived at, or that we're here now and it's no big deal. This is very, very purposeful, because when you destroy the warriors of a society, that's how you usher in slavery. First thing the Romans did when they conquered the Greeks is kill all the warriors, all the fighting age males. You leave the soy boys and the bitches, and then you can conquer it. Done. That's what they're doing to us. They're trying to destroy the warriors. So my G's, the ones who are left, don't worry about fucking some pussy. We got bigger fights coming up. We got bigger wars coming ahead of us. So if you want to fuck some pussy, go fuck it. Because I really believe the next 10 years are going to be difficult for men of stature. I really believe that. So,
who do you think is they?
There are people who've been in charge of the world for quite a long time. And to keep it simple and to make sure this podcast stays up, the people who control the money are going to control the world. Because if you have money, you can influence people.
Yeah.
Right? So, and the governments, what do the governments need? Money. So they're a layer in the chain.
That's what I mean.
The governments are the illusion of choice.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who the fucking president is. It's bullshit. Right? So the true matrix, the people who truly control it, they want as much influence and power as possible. This is human nature. If you have a company, you're not going to hire employees who disagree with you and don't listen to you. You're going to want them to be as compliant as possible, just like you're going to want your woman to be as compliant as possible. It's who you are as a man, right? So if you're one of the most important, powerful billionaires on the planet, you're going to want as much power over the world as possible. You want people to be compliant. So you're going to look for that outside support structures and attempt to attack them. If you had a girlfriend
and she's 100%, she listens to you, except she has this one friend who's always in her ear talking shit, you're going to say, don't be friends with her anymore. So if you're trying to teach the children X, but their parents are trying to teach them Y, you're going to say that we need them to spend less time around their parents. So how do we do that? We need the parents to be more busy, and we need them to go somewhere.
That's just like some crazy control shit, though, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. But that's what they've done.
Yeah.
It's on purpose. Like, it's very, very purposeful. It's all done on purpose. These people
I just
are
think
not fucking stupid.
the average person doesn't understand that, like, that statement means that, like, there's people above us that are just trying to control us, right?
Oh, completely. There's people in charge above us trying to control us all. I mean, if the last 3 years haven't proved that, I don't know what's going to prove it to you. Like, there's definitely people who want to control us because all of us, every man on earth, has an innate instinct for power and control. We're all human. We're not pure creatures. The reason you guys love doing this podcast is because you love being big and getting more followers and getting more influence. What is influence? It's power. It's control. It's what you want. It's what I want. It's what everyone wants. If you get to a certain level in life, that's what you want. Now, you're going to have power and influence over a whole bunch of people. You may believe, it's not even necessarily evil. You may believe that you're helping them. They don't understand the world. They're the little peasants. They're the ants. I'm the big billionaire. I'm going to teach them things they don't know they need to learn yet. Their mother is outdated. She's in their ear. We're going to separate them so I can help the kids. They may think they're doing it for a good reason. But what they're really doing is trying to propagate their own personal worldviews on other people. As we all do. As you do, as I do, etc. They just managed to have a lot more influence and more power to do it. Right? Mm-hmm. So you talk about governments. The fuck is a government? Governments are bought and sold. That's all bullshit, right? But there's people in charge of the world who want us to listen when they talk. And they're going to do their very, very best to stop anybody or stop any kind of power or support structure which is going to prevent that. It's done on purpose. This is why they also try and ensure that the people of most nation states are infighting. This is why government and politics and everything is the biggest lie in the world. You have Democrats and Republicans arguing with each other all fucking day when they're two sides of the same coin. And the people in charge of all of it are laughing. Bro, if you had to fight 100 fucking cats, right? You'd probably get through it, but it'd be a bit messy. The first thing you want to do is turn...
100? Fuck.
Yeah, well...
100 what?
I take 100 cats easy.
Yeah.
Snap their necks like fucking Rambo. Point is, you'd want to turn all the white cats against the fucking yellow cats. First. Start civil war first. Let's get them uneasy. We don't working together on me now. Let's man... Well, you're Democrat, you're Republican. You're black, you're white, you're brown. You're gay, you're straight. You're a man, you're a woman. You're this, you're that, you're this, you're that. And everyone's going to sit there and fucking argue all day. And they're going to sit at the top laughing. There's more of us than there is of them. But they don't think that. They're very, very smart. It's divisive on
How
purpose.
do they get that smart?
It's because it's age old, bro. This shit's been around for a very long time.
So it's just families that have learned along
it's
the
not
way?
just families. It's just age old. If you look at how...
But that's like really smart shit.
Look at how England conquered India. England conquered India with less than 100,000 troops. There was millions of Indians. And the supply line is 9 months long. How do you do it? You turn up. You turn one team against another team, one family against another family, one tribe against another tribe. Arm one side. They start winning. Oh, shit, we need to take some power back. Arm the other side. Do. It's basic foreign policy. And it's internal policy. It's basic. It's how it's always been. And then before you know it, who runs India? The British. That's how you do it, right? It's how America does most of foreign policy today. I understand that you get 3 strikes in this game. Strike 1 is they try and shut you up and discredit you, which I've just been through. Strike 2 is they try and put you in jail for no reason. And strike 3 is they kill you. And one of my strikes is now gone, and I now firmly believe that they're going to try and kill me because they want me to be quiet and I'm not being quiet. And I have huge amounts of influence, which is what they're scared of. Because influence is what influence is what the world is about, right? If you send soldiers to a country to die, if you have literally a pitched battle on any country on the planet with tanks and planes and people are dying, that's only to control the ground so you can influence it. Like all of that is for influence. The media is for influence. What they tell people to believe, the mindsets they want you to adopt is so they can influence you. So when somebody like me comes along who has a mass amount of influence and it's going in a direction they're contrary to, they sit and go, wow, this is a big problem from one person. And people have car accidents, people get robbed, people get shot. And that's the unfortunate reality of human nature. When you are a very large problem for very powerful people, they look for quick solutions. And the easiest solution is to kill me. And I think it's going to get there if I'm not extremely careful. So
Yeah, they dislike me not just because of what I say, because everybody knows what I say is true, but because of the huge amount of influence I have, and also the influence I have over the one demographic they're most fearful of, which are the young military-age males. They're the demographic that they need to keep under control the most, because those are the ones who will lead a revolution. Those are the ones who are naturally rebellious. Those are the ones you need to fight in your armies. Those are the ones you need to be the backbone of the slave force and build the roads for a shit wage. Those are the ones you need to sit in a sexless marriage and raise kids while they're depressed and turn up and pay their taxes anyway. That demographic is the backbone of the economy, of the defense of a nation. They're the number one enemy to the state if they decide to get in a big group together. Like, I don't want to be misogynistic. I've been accused of it enough. But if 100,000 women get in one place and complain, it's inconvenient. If 100,000 men get in one place and complain, it's a revolution. So they're scared of men free thinking, and they're scared of young men free thinking, and my fans are young military-age males, and I teach them to free think. So they look at me and they literally see me as a threat to the world, and that's why I think they're going to try and kill me.
So you said you now have to be careful, so what are you changing about what you're doing to not get killed?
It happens. Power corrupts people. Like, we're not perfect creatures. And I think when you start getting mass amounts of influence and power, it's very normal and natural to get to a point where you just want to be completely and utterly obeyed. And also there's a huge ego trip. And when I say ego, people think, oh, that's a bit of a juvenile way to boil down the world. But I don't think it is. I think that if you're born into a billionaire family and your family's been important since the dawn of human time, that you get a massive ego trip from people complying, and people not complying is a big deal to you, right? You're king. Look at the olden days. If you looked at the king wrong, he'd chop your head off, right? So if you sit and if you come along and give some ridiculous rule, let me make up a fake scenario. Let me make up something totally ridiculous. Let's imagine that everyone was suddenly afraid of the common cold. And let's imagine we told people to wear a mask when they walk in a restaurant, sit down, take it off, eat, put it back on to stand up and go toilet, come back, take it off to eat, to save lives. Let's just do some hypothetical, right? Everybody knows there's no medical backing for that. Everybody knows that's absolutely ridiculous. So why would you do that? Well, you do that to force people to comply so you can sit around and go, that's it. What else is going to make somebody at that level happy besides an ego trip? You think money's going to make them happy? You think you can buy a Ferrari and smile? These people print money. They're above money, right? And they believe, well, I won't say quite rightly, but I understand why they believe it, that they're better than everybody else. They believe that they're literally a different species than everybody else. We're peasants, we're ants. We're nothing to these people. So if they tell you to do something, you better do it. So if you stand up and say, that's dumb, then they go, whoa, 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 who's the big mouth? Oh, this ant's smart. And they'll find a way to check you. And if you're an ant that stands up and then a whole bunch of other ants stand up with you, well, that's where the problems come, right? That's why they got Socrates. You know why Socrates died?
I'd love to hear.
He was arrested and he ended up poisoning himself and killing himself because they were going to execute him. And he was arrested for corrupting the youth because he was convincing the youth to think about not joining the military because the wars were pointless. So corrupting the youth is why Socrates died. If you make the youth think, you're an enemy to the establishment. It's always been the same.
Do you not go to bed at night sometimes and shit yourself?
Yes. Yes. But at this point, I've now made a decision to stand true to my morals and stand true to God and genuinely be a force of good for the world and genuinely try to make people do good things to other people. And if I'm not going to stop doing that. So if I'm going to die, I'm going to die. It's like being in a plane crash. What can you do? The plane's going down. What are you going to do about it? You can scream.
My unmatched perspicacity, coupled with sheer indefatigability, makes me a feared opponent in any realm of human endeavor.